Panthers, Bruins, Stars, Avalanche tonight in the NHL second round of the playoffs. The Bruins trying to stay alive. The Avalanche trying to continue their series as well. I am Andrew, and Carmine is back with me. Thank you to everybody that filled in over the last couple of days here for Carmine. But Carm, it's good to have you back. You are looking, well, we'll put it this way, a little less white than you were the last time I saw you, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm looking tanned. I did this thing I never do. Yeah, thanks, Dan. I did this thing which I never do when I go on on the birthday trip with my wife, which is an annual affair. Is I actually put on sunscreen this time. I usually one day into the trip, I look like Lobster Boy, and my face is completely red. And Andrew, I love to be transparent. So before we get into this Florida Bruins game, I got to be transparent. Last 3 days, absolutely rough, tough days for me. And it comes off a weekend where Saturday, especially Saturday, was very good, and a stretch where I had gone like 14-4, and then 1-9, 1-10, and I can't change anything up because I'm watching it. It's whether it's I'm not going to complain whether it's a bad bounce or a bullpen falling apart like the Phillies last night. These things are going to happen, but variance is going to kick in. But you need to get past it, continue to do what you do, put in the time, the research, and we'll get there. And I told our office, if anyone has a 3 or 7 day package and they're unhappy, extend it for a couple of days because it's the right thing to do. We will get back at it. Speaking of the right thing to do, Andrew, Florida and Boston. Um, I'm watching limited games while I was away just because the coverage wasn't there. They either had it or they didn't have it. But I'm watching the Florida Boston game, and Florida just plays the same way. It's just the Bruins have found a way. First of all, Florida's found a way to shut down the top two lines. We won't get into the Marchand and the hit and everything else until maybe at the end of the show. But Florida found a way to stop their first couple of lines and shut them down. But Boston's done the exact same thing now. They almost look like the Bruins that played the series against the Leafs and shut down the Matthews line, the Marner line, Nylander when he came back, Tavares. They're doing a very good job of it, and they're getting the goaltending. And this is going to become a scary series because there's going to be a lot of talk, if there isn't talk already, about the Bruins are exacting a little bit of revenge on Florida, like Florida did last year when the Bruins were up 3-1 in the opening round of the NHL playoffs, and Florida came back and won 3 straight, including 2 games on the road. So it's interesting to see the way this series is going. I'm looking at it this way. I think we've watched how this series has gone, and I came into this series thinking we're going to see a lot of low scoring games in this series. And for the most part, the first 3 games, forget about it. 7 goals on average a game. The last couple of games, 4 goals, a 4-goal average per game. They have both started to lock it down, Andrew. But the more interesting stat here is the first period under. The Florida Panthers in this series, and then going back to the last game of the Tampa one, they've gone under in 5 of their last 6 first periods. The first period's gone under in 5 of Florida's last 6 games. The Bruins, you can look at the Bruins, and it's an even better number going right back to the whole series, 7 games with Toronto, 12 games. The first period under in Bruins games is 9-3. The vig isn't high on these ones, and it hasn't been. So I don't know how we can get away from the first period under. If you like the full game over, full game under, you can take it. But the first period under right now, Andrew, I'm looking at it, and it is. Give me 1 second here. I was looking at it, and it came off the screen. The first period under is -135. The game line, full game over under is pretty much at -125, juice to the under. So you're paying about 10 cents more. You got to believe that Florida's going to come out, play a good defensive game, try and end this series here. But the Bruins are going to do the exact same thing. I like the under 1.5, and I like a prop play in this game, Andrew, that I posted up in the free plays, and it's a client play as well too. And I can talk about it now, or can talk about it at the end of the show. You let me know.
Go for it. Go for it. We'll keep it going with the props.
So I'm looking at the Jake DeBrusk one. So you look at Jake DeBrusk. To register a point, so over half is plus 110. It's minus 140 on the under. What's DeBrusk done so far in the playoffs? 12 games. He's registered a point in 7 of the 12 games. So he's 7-5 to the over half. In this series, he's gone over in 4 or 5 games. At home, he's gone over in 4 of 6 games. So while that 7-5 number for the whole playoffs is one thing, he has started to find the scoring, whether it's assists, whether it's goals in this series. 4 or 5 in this series where he's registered a point. He's plus 110 to register a point tonight. I get it. You try and correlate it with how do you take someone to register a point when you like the under or the first period under? Well, the last couple of games have gone under. He's picked up points. This is how it is. The one game in this series in which he did not pick up a point, he had his lowest ice time of all 12 games he's played in the playoffs this year. He only had 15 minutes of ice time in that game. And I think that's the game in which they lost. I think it was 6-1. So I get it. It wasn't a great game for any of the Bruins in that game. But I love this prop. I'm getting plus 110 on it. And I put up as a client play and I put up as a free play on the WagerTalk site.
All right. Yeah. You know what, too, Carm? I feel like he is like kind of like an underrated player because he's not flashy. Like none of the goals he scores are that nice. Doesn't really have any big assists that are highlight reel. This guy is not showing up on the highlight reels. He's not, but he gets the job done. He's a great guy for a point. I'm with you on that play. And I love that you mentioned the differences for the full game, 5.5 versus the first period. I'm not sure if it was Buster or Brian that I was on with the last time we talked about this series, but I liked the under in the last game. I did end up cashing it, but the under 1.5 first period was a lot of less stress, I guess. Despite how low scoring the last game ended up being, at one point it was just goal. I was like, oh man, this game is going to go over. And then there were pretty much just no goals for the rest of the game here, Carm. But I always like to take a look at the different odds for the first period versus the full game. Now we're seeing minus 150-ish for the full game here with Florida, but the first period is minus 130. And of course, obviously, it's less time, I guess, less time to win, less time to get it going, I guess. But at the same time here, I got a feeling, Carm, that the Boston Bruins are going to face adversity in this game at home. I have a feeling they're going to have to fight for their series here in this game. It's not going to be easy here. Remind everybody at home, the main reason why Boston won that last game is the same reason why the game stayed under the total, and that's Jeremy Swayman. And I think a lot of people were not really giving him as much credit in the previous series versus the Maple Leafs because neither team could score, right? And now in this series, you look at the games that Florida has won, Carm, all the games that Florida won, they scored in. I don't know what happened there, but all the games that Florida won, they scored a ton of goals in. And of course, the game that the Boston Bruins win, Carm, it's 2-1. So I really do think it's a correlated parlay here. If you like the Bruins, you like the under. If you like the Panthers, you probably do like the over. And, I think that's just how the game will go. We mentioned these elimination games as well. Carm, last night, 2-1 night overall for me, but I had both overs. And I joked around yesterday with Brian saying, I'm always nervous taking both games over, even though they each have nothing to do with each other. Edmonton gets 5 or 6 power plays. This is what, their first game without a power play goal, man. And then I have the over, and they can't get me over. But either way, in some of these games like this one, that's an elimination game, I think that helps your case a lot more with the over. So in summary, I like the Florida Panthers first period money line. I think they will get out in front. They will get ahead despite this game being at home for Boston. And I do have a small lean towards the over in this game. Would you agree, Carm, overall? I mean, if you like the Bruins, you like the under?
Yeah, I think you have to. I think it's like you said, you look at the maybe not the first game. Florida was coming off, a 4 or 5 day rest because their series against Tampa had finished early. The Bruins went to 7 games, played 2 days later, 1 day off, which was their travel day, and they found a way of spanking Florida. Even though the analytics didn't support it, they won, and they got scoring from secondary guys, Carlo and guys who were scoring their first goal of the playoffs for the Bruins, their first playoff goals ever were scoring for the Bruins. But it doesn't matter who scores them as long as they go in. But then we saw Florida sort of really dominate the next 2-3 games. The Bruins are in this series. We'll see what happens, because as much as you believe that it's back in Boston and Boston can send it home, I think a lot of people, including myself, I didn't have plays on either of the NHL games last night. I just wanted to watch them and see how these series are going to set up for the next ones. And I think everyone thought Carolina going home was going to win that game and send it to 7 games against the Rangers. And for 40 plus minutes, it looked that way. 3-1 lead in the third period. They allow 4 goals. Never say die, New York Rangers. When you got a guy like Igor Shesterkin in goal, he's going to win you games. He's going to keep you in. And you look at it, Carolina could have scored 2-3 goals in that third period. Guys were just missing the net. Stahl, Gensel. They just, one of those goes in, it's pretty much going to game 7. None of them went in, and the series is over. And now Rod Brindamore is on the hot seat because the franchise, and I'm going off in a tangent, and Andrew, but I'm going to get to the totals in a second. But Rod Brindamore has been given a team each and every year, and they're taking a step back each and every year, from going to the conference finals to semifinal elimination, and now again against the Rangers. And they added players, Gunsel, Orlov, they added Kuznetsov. They added a lot of talent to this team, and they couldn't get by the second round again. But I think they would have beaten pretty much any other team in the Eastern Conference. The Rangers are a completely different beast, Andrew. I think we have to admit that. And we've said it pretty much all season long. But it was a series in which I thought Carolina was going to win the series. I was wrong, of course.
That is a good segue for me, because we had someone reach out as far as customer service to let us know how wrong we both were about this series. And you know what? It's important sometimes for us to mention it. But the fact is, guys, I just want to say this. We do this show every single day. We started doing this show, I believe, in October. We go through the entire NHL season. The fact is, we are going to be wrong about stuff. We're going to be wrong about series. We're going to be wrong about futures, teams to make the playoffs, miss the playoffs. This is gambling, guys. So that shouldn't even need to be said here. But when it comes down to it, we have Rob. Rob, he messaged us, Carm. He said that we need to admit how biased we were against the Rangers. He says, telling people to bet against the Rangers from the series beginning. He wants an on-air admission from you and I about how wrong we were. Look, Rob, I tweeted it out last night. I tweeted it out. You can follow me on X at McGinnis Picks. I showed my respect. I tweeted it out. They got the job done. Chris Kreider scores 3 goals in the third period, a natural hat trick. I have strong opinions. I think that what's the point of producing content and giving out plays daily if we're not going to have strong opinions? I was wrong, Rob, but I'll tell you what, if I had to give out everybody a shout out when I was wrong about something, I think, Carm, we'd be spending 30 minutes on PuckTime every day just doing shout outs. So shout out to you, Rob, and your Rangers, because I was wrong on them, and I hope it made your day to get an apology about how wrong we were. All right, Carm, I'm tired of saying the word wrong.
Rob.
So instead, go ahead, Carm. Go ahead.
Listen, I get it. We go through this each and every year. It's the fan base of the teams that watch the show, and I get it. You get upset if we It's like you always talk bad about our team. You always say to fade them. We got it with the Washington one, during the regular season. And they made the playoffs and they exited the playoffs just as quick as they got into the playoffs. So it is going to happen. If we all agreed, and this is Teddy Cover's line, if we all agreed on the same team and the same play, there would be no market. The market is based on people having different viewpoints, and we had a different viewpoint. I thought with the changes Carolina made, it would have been good enough even without home ice for them to win this series, and they did look good. They just couldn't get it past the Rangers. It's just the way it is. But it's not like the Rangers are the Harlem Globetrotters of the 1980s, where they didn't lose a game. They lost 27 during the regular season. They've lost a couple in these playoffs. They're going to lose games, but they're a very good team. We'll see. They're already chanting. Ranger fans, this isn't good, man. I saw the video, your fan base chanting, "We want Florida. We want Florida." I don't know, man. You be careful what you ask for, because sometimes you get it and you don't like the end result. So we will see who you get. Will it be Florida? Will it be Boston? It remains to be seen.
If that ends up being the series, that one will be hectic. Either way, the Eastern Conference Finals is going to be awesome. Guys, if you're interested in our favorite plays today at WagerTalk.com, or if you've never tried purchasing our best bets from us over at WagerTalk, today's a great day to do it. $5 customer appreciation day, usually $25 for the average play that we advertise. Today only here on Friday. Favorite plays, best bets, NBA, MLB, UFC, PGA, whatever it might be. Get our NHL plays here for $5. One play per each capper. $5 only. Customer Appreciation Day, WagerTalk.com. And if not, guys, no worries. Please do us a favor. Hit the like button on this video. Show us some love. Hopefully you can subscribe to the channel and keep those comments going. Hey, if you guys disagree with us, keep it classy, but it's all good. I have no issues with some disagreements. It makes the show more fun. All right, Carm. While you were away, man, a lot of stuff happened. I mean, Dallas took a decent lead up on the Avalanche, and the Avalanche played one of the best games we've seen out of them. They stayed alive. What I saw out of the Avalanche in their game, they looked like they were fighting for their lives. Like, you could just see it in every player, Carm. They were diving to get the puck out. They were clearing the puck. They were doing everything they possibly could. And they come out and win that one, but they actually, they almost gave the lead up, and then Nathan MacKinnon scores to make it 5-3. It was a real tight game, though. Once again, Alexander Georgiev played very well, but of course, this Dallas team, they still remain the deeper team. I think we'd both agree with how many players are making impactful plays. But here's the kicker. The Avalanche get a chance to play at home now and get the job done this time at home after having a rough go their last time they were at Ball Arena. What do you think here? They're minus 120 favorites. Do they extend the series tonight, Carm?
So it's an interesting one, Andrew. I watched, this is one of the games I was able to watch, and it's like power play, power play, power play. It's not a game. A lot of power plays in these playoffs. The refs aren't letting a lot go that we normally see. And normally in the third period, they put the whistle away. Two even strength goals for the Avs in that one, two power play goals as well too. This is one in which I've liked Dallas all season long. I said I'm going to just sound like a broken record. So I thought they were the best team in the West, and going into these playoffs, I like the Dallas Stars, and I think I have to side with them tonight. I haven't put in a play on this game, but I think if anything, it's going to be on Dallas. Am I worried about them losing at home and then going back to Colorado to play Colorado, where they've already beaten them twice? And then start to try and rationalize it and say, well, they can't beat them again, because why not? Sure they can. They lost a couple of games at home, went into Vegas against the reigning Stanley Cup champions and beat them. They played 5 games on the road in these playoffs. They've gone 4-1. The one game that they lost was a 2-0 game. They have yet to allow more than 2 goals in any of their 5 road games thus far in the playoffs, Andrew. I believe uh, 2 or fewer goals in all 5 games. The Colorado team total is 3.5, minus 160 is the under. You're getting plus money on the over. The 2.5, you're getting some plus money on the under. If the Dallas Stars show up tonight, they will shut down the Colorado Avalanche, and we'll see the under 3.5 Colorado Avalanche team total hit, and that's where I'm leaning here. I think the Stars are the play, and I think the Avs team total under are the play. I get it. They played an inspired game. They scored 5 goals. That doesn't always carry over into your next game at home. I like Dallas in this spot, and I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Elimination games, Andrew, we've talked about, are always tough because we want to believe elimination games are just going to be filled with a lot of third period empty net goals, and a lot of times they're not. So, with that said, I do like the under in this game. I do like Dallas in this game, and I like the Colorado Avalanche team total under 3.5. Although that one's a little viggy. That word, I think I created that one, a little viggy at minus 160. Andrew, do you want to fade or you want to follow?
Carm, I'm on the fence about the total, actually. I don't know. I can make a case for both of them, really. The thing is, I truly believe this about the Avalanche is that I mentioned when I was throwing it to you that I think that that the Dallas Stars are the deeper team. I think the bottom 6 guys for the Avalanche are good, like, defensive players. If you notice, like, they're out there killing penalties, they're out there shutting down, and they got a lot of minutes in the last game. The Bednar was giving them lots of credit because when they had the lead, Carm, you need good players out there you can count on to protect the lead. That's what those guys are out there for. But let's look at the tape here. Arturi Lehkonen scores, McKinnon scores, and Cale Makar scores 2. Casey Middlestat scores. So those are pretty much all your best players. We got no Nichushkin anymore. So you've got Rantanen, Makar, McKinnon. The top line that was recently changed is now Drouin, McKinnon, and Arturi Lehkonen together. And then the second line is Rantanen and Middlestat playing together. Carm, to me, it's a depth issue. It's just an issue here where it's got to be the top guys scoring for the Avalanche, and the Dallas Stars, they've got 1 through 4. It could be the old guys having a good night. It could be Jamie Benn, Pavelski, those guys playing well, Tyler Seguin, or it could be Rupe Hintz or Robertson, or it could be Wyatt Johnston. There's just way more guys that I think can create chances. One thing to mention, you talk about first periods in the last game, you were giving up some good numbers. Colorado has still yet to win a first period in this series. They have, what are we through? 5 games, Carm? They've got 4 losses in the first period and 1 push. So, they have not had a good first period. I watched the interview with Cale Makar after the second period of the last game. He said, you know what? I really don't think we're still playing very well. We got to go out there and give it another gear here. We're fighting for our lives. He scores another goal. And if you notice, the goal he scored on Ottinger, that was probably Ottinger's worst game he's played. It was almost like everybody was playing the pass and Makar just threw it on net and it went through the 5-hole of Ottinger. Maybe, just maybe, they were like, you know what? We got to just start throwing things at the net because maybe we got to Ottinger. Maybe Ottinger, he's not this guy that we can't score on. Maybe he's not someone that's just, unstoppable here, which is always a good sign. But Carm, when I look at this game here, I think that you got to stick with what you've seen. You got to stick with what you've been seeing in the first period. And I think it's Dallas Stars in the first period. I think the props are the way to go in this one, though. We saw how offensive Cale Makar played in the last game. Why not go right back to it? I mentioned the lack of depth. They need him to be an offensive player. He's pretty much a forward. He plays defense. He's probably the top 3 most talented scorer on that team. Let's be honest. And he's a defenseman. Cale Makar over 3.5 shots is certainly worthy of a play. Jonathan Drouin to get an assist If you want to play it safe, you can get the point at -130, but the assist is plus money. So that's a really good prop there. And Tyler Seguin, I keep on mentioning him every show. He did get hurt last game, but I think he'll be good for tonight. Over 2.5 is hit in the 8 of the last 10 games. And you can also keep looking at those Wyatt Johnston props because he keeps on getting shots. But I kind of lean towards Dallas first period in this one, Carm. But I'm worried that Colorado, for Dallas's sake, they better hope that Ottinger has a bounce back game because Colorado was able to score in a few different ways. Casey Middlestat behind the net banks it off Ottinger's back. Cale Makar throws the puck to the net. It goes through his legs. Those are goals that Ottinger doesn't usually end up giving up. And if that's the case, Colorado ends up getting the job done. But if you want a trend play right now, you take Dallas in the first period. I do think this series has the potential to go 7. Let's not forget, Carm, how good was this Avalanche team during the regular season? If you look at the record, what was it, like 39, 2-2 or something like that? I mean, this team was so dominant at home and in the previous round as well, and they just laid 2 stinkers. So are we going to believe that they're going to have 3 bad games at home in this series? That's my big question.
No, listen, I get it. And I'm going to answer a question in the chat as well, too. I get it, Andrew. We never believe that, a team like Colorado, especially after what they did to Winnipeg, is, where they were just scoring at will, are going to play 2 home games where they only score a goal in each and then come home after winning a big game and then come out completely flat. It's not about coming out completely flat. It is against against a team like Dallas who didn't have their best game of the playoffs in game 5, and now they're going on the road where they've been very good in the playoffs. And as I mentioned before, if Ottinger plays his game, and let's not forget, he's a good goalie. He's a very good goalie. I remember, Andrew, Game 7 against the Calgary Flames, where I think the final score was like 1-0 in a couple of overtimes. I think the guy had like 70 saves or something. Someone in the chat is going to know the answer to that question. He absolutely stood on his head, figuratively speaking, not literally, for my Wambus guy who is the English teacher, and almost stole that series for the Stars against Calgary. And that's when I think Calgary had won their division. So he's going to bounce back. I hope so. And I hope he does it tonight. To the guy in the chat who said, if you like the Dallas Stars, come on, you got to take the over. Well, the Dallas Stars have won 7 games in the playoffs, and in those 7 games, the under is 5-1-1. So I get it. You think there's going to be empty net goals, but if the score is 2-1, how many empty net goals do you think you're getting tonight? So I'm not saying that's what the score is going to be in the third period, but they've done a very good job of shutting down teams. And if there's no correlation, as far as I'm concerned, of whether you like the Dallas Stars, you got to take the over elimination game or not. 5-1-1. If you've bet them in the games that they've won and taken the under, then you've cashed your tickets there. Andrew, before I got a question for you about the Boston Bruins. I'm going to get to it in a second because, guys, I want to mention today is Customer Appreciation Day at WagerTalk packages. There are packages up with a single play in it. Could be a play for today, could be a play for the weekend. One play, priced at $5 from each capper. You can head over to WagerTalk and you can buy. No coupon needed. You can. The prices have been slashed. You can get them from any capper or as many cappers as you want. Another great promo from our staff at the Detroit office. Customer Appreciation Day. There are no 5% plays as part of that. They are just regular plays, 4% and down, as part of the Friday Customer Appreciation Day, and it's site wide. Andrew, I got to say this, man, because we always talk about the Bruins, and I heard so much crap, and we talked about Brad Marchand, and we talked especially in the Leaf series, and I said the guy reminds me of I'm an old school guy. Kenny the Rat Linsman, he got under your skin. He knew how to get the better of you. A little jab when the ref's not looking, he knew how to get to you. They interviewed him, and I love his response. They talked about the hit to him, or the punch to the head, or whatever it was. And you know what he said? He goes, yeah, um, it's questionable. He goes, but we go out there in the playoffs and we're trying to hurt people. He goes, we're trying to hurt people and get them out of the lineup each and every time we go on the ice. He goes, and I've been on the other end of those punches or jabs. You got to give this guy credit because he didn't turtle and blame the league for no suspensions or for getting hits that kept him out of game or two. The guy owned up and says, "Listen, I do the exact same thing, and I try and get people injured as well too." It may not be what people want to hear, but you got to give it to that guy, Andrew. What are your thoughts on Marchand in that interview?
Well, I think that as someone that is who he is, Carm, and I was reading an article yesterday that pretty much stated that he's never going to lose the reputation he had when he first got into the league. People know him for some of the hits he's made and some of the stuff he's done. He's wearing the C on his chest, though, now, right? He's definitely matured and grown up a little bit, but he's still the same old guy. So I think it's one of those things where it's kind of like the fight code, right? If you're a fighter and you're playing on a team and your team is up 5-0, out of respect, you have to say yes and drop the mitts with a guy that challenges you on the team that's losing. This is the same thing. It's the code. He goes out there. He can't complain about hits because guess what, Carm? He gives out the same stuff. So if he went whining to the media and complaining and talking about the bad play that Bennett gave him, it'd be a really bad look on him because he's given out the same type of stuff, if not worse, in the past. So I love it. I love it. I mean, the last thing anybody wants to be called is a hypocrite, right? So he just completely avoided that and was like, yeah, no problem at all. We all try and do that at the same time. I like how casual he was too. Like he was just like, yeah, it happens. It's the playoffs. Like he really brushed it off, which, I kind of love that because it allows the media to have nothing to talk about. Like they want him to say controversial stuff. They want him to say something bad about Bennett, but he didn't give them anything. He didn't give them anything to say.
No, and I think he complimented him as well too. So Bennett's been playing well. It's a good series between two very good teams, and I like it. So we'll see what we have. I'm going to piss people off, especially like we just apologized about not giving the Rangers credit, even though we give them credit. We just picked Carolina to win the series, so we're not getting them right. But the one thing I don't like about the playoffs is there's some really marginal calls that I don't think should be penalties and stuff. So I'll flash back to the most recent one. Listen, I like Mika Zibanejad more than probably Rangers fans do. I love this guy and the way he plays. But man, Stahl literally just touched him, and he looked like that. You know that floatable thing that they have in front of the car sales things, the things that just kind of wobble in the air with the arms. He fell to the ground I'm like, he must have been a soccer player growing up in Sweden because that was an Italian style flop to the ice that got a 2-minute penalty for Stahl, and which turned into a goal for the Rangers. So kudos. This goes throughout all the NHL games this year. We've seen guys taking flops. If a ref doesn't want to call a penalty, or if you can always call a penalty, but give the other guy an embellishment. Why don't you just take two guys off the ice, and you get the guy who made the hit, and you get the guy who flopped, and you take them both off the ice, and it's 4-on-4. You know what I mean? So we're giving power plays where power plays aren't needed in these NHL playoffs. I'm not sour. I'm making a point. It's just a point, and I'm not trying to zone in on the Rangers. It's just because that's the game I watched last night. But if my mind was sharper, I could probably name about 8 different players on 8 different teams that have done the exact same thing. You touch them and they're like Weebles wobble. But these ones did fall down.
It's in the playoffs, you really realize how hard of a job the referees have at Carm. You know, you really do. As much as we love to bash on them, and you leave a game you're watching in person or you're watching at home, and it's so easy for us to just crap all over them. But man, with how fast playoff hockey is, and the thing is, they need to set the standard right away. They see stuff going on after the whistle. They let one guy get a shot in, and they feel like they have to let the other guy get a shot in at the other guy, and then anything more is a penalty. But if you saw Carmen, I know you were away, but the Avalanche, the last game, Mikko Rantanen kind of like he skated by like a kind of there was a group of them kind of going after it a little bit, and he like pushed someone a little bit, and then that guy cross-checked Mikko in the head, and then he drew a penalty, and I think they ended up scoring on that power play. So that's the funny thing, is like playing along that line, like guys like Marchand that are so good at baiting people into power play, because at the same time, you want to be rough, you want to be so aggressive, and you want to kind of do all this stuff. But at the same time, you don't want to be that guy that gets called for it between the whistles. Like you don't want to be that guy that's, takes that extra punch at someone after the whistle or pushes them down to the ground. And as you mentioned, some players that are good actors, they're going to go down easier than others, and you're going to get called for a penalty. So they got a tough job, man. And of course, the irony is yesterday, the game that the Oilers get like 5 or 6 power plays, the Canucks win 3-2, and there was no power play goals for the Oilers. So that stuff was crazy. Any more closing thoughts for you, Carm? And if not, what do you have going today for your clients?
Yeah, and I'm going to throw one more old movie analogy before Dan, the producer, puts up the old man yelling at the clouds one, Andrew. But I just want to see the referees. I'm not saying put away the whistle, but let these teams play. Let the teams play. It's like the Bad News Bears. And Andrew, you're too young to remember the Bad News Bears movies. They're at the Astrodome playing a game, and they didn't have enough time. And then the fans start to yell, "Let them play! Let them play!" As a little kid runs around holding a base, one of the Bad News Bears runs around holding one of the bases. You old guys in the chat know which the Bad News Bears movie where they played at the Astrodome. Let these guys play, man. Forget about these chinsy calls, because some of these penalties end up distorting the game, and the better team doesn't always win. So, and you're right. The Edmonton Oilers, 5 or 6 power plays, first time in the playoffs where they haven't had a power play goal for them. That you need to win the games 5-on-5 as well too. Let them play, Andrew. As far as WagerTalk, customer appreciation play up, and it's going to be a quiet Friday for me. I gave you guys one of my client plays, which is a 2% play on Jake DeBrusk over half a point plus 110. So I'm going to take that plus money and hope it cashes tonight. But an absolutely huge weekend. It's the final weekend of a lot of the soccer leagues, and there's a lot of stuff that happens each and every year, Andrew. I zone in on this last week of the season with a lot at play, and I've done extremely well, and I plan on doing it. I'm going to have a ton of volume in the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, a lot of the leagues, and of course, and then MLS as well too. So there's going to be a ton of soccer and then some hockey as well too. So pick up a 3-day all access. I don't want to flood Missy with too many messages because I didn't get a promo code, but you could email her and say, "Hey, Carm said, can you give us like $10 off a 3-day all access?" And maybe she'll do it. I'll have to send her a message of apology right now. But that's it for me, Andrew. What about you?
Carm, my $5 play is actually an NBA play for me, man. I don't do too much NBA, but I really like this one. I've remained pretty low volume, picking my spots. So my $5 play today, customer appreciations, an NBA play. I want a 10-2 run though, 10-2 all sports. So super excited. MLB, NHL, NBA, we're cashing tickets. Hell, Carm, while you were away, I cashed a winner in the WNBA. So we're just really mixing things up here this week for me and the clients. So hopefully we can stay hot. I'm going to try and stay low volume here, guys. But I will have a prop pack up for the Colorado versus Dallas game. Been doing well with the props in the NHL. We'll try and take care of business again tonight. And you can get that for just $19. So much available, so much worth grabbing over at WagerTalk.com. But again, all plays, everything up for grabs, at least one play per capper, only $5 today. Guys, Wager Talk today coming up at 12 o'clock Eastern time. No Teddy, No prez. You got Steve Merrill and Andy Lang hosting today. Enjoy that, guys. Enjoy your weekends. We'll see you next time right here on Puck Time.